Starting over one more time. All right, it is about midnight, and we are going in for a deep dive into a Waves 1 through 5 format deck profile. I want to look back for a second to the year 2020 when Wave 5 was released, and the Wave 4 meta had just been dominated by all kinds of control blue strategies. You may remember seeing S. Dot's music video going through like the big three main decks, Captain Jetfire and Wave 3 Shockwave, and then of course Galaxy Prime, who was the centerpiece character in the PAX Unplugged, Worlds winning deck of 2019. In Wave 5, the pendulum really went the other direction. So you had Belligerence, and you had Orange-Black, and you had so much direct damage happening that control players suddenly felt at a loss. And I took it personally because I'm a big fan of blue decks. I like not making my opponent like stop and slow down. I don't like doing interference stuff, but I like running blue because I appreciate my characters being able to withstand things and me feeling like I still have some agency in the game. Like I can stick around and sort of make the plan that I have in the deck work out. It took a while in 2020 to find anything blue that really worked, or at least worked for my playstyle. And specifically in blue strategy deck building, my preference was for wide teams. I loved around waves 2 through 3, like 4 wide blue cars, and then like with Flame War, and untapping, chipping in with laser cutlasses. So that has always sort of been my wheelhouse. But my brother had an awesome deck combining Sky Shadow and Quake. And you can imagine how that was turning out as I was trying to run these 4 wide blue decks. Quick side note, I also had all kinds of trouble throughout like the print run of the game against 1 tall decks, against or functionally 1 tall decks, say Thrustimus Prime, or perhaps Metroplex, although, Metroplex was wider than that, so that wasn't really the issue. But yeah, Ultra Magnus and General Optimus functioning as a 2 tall, but again, the same problem. They end the round quickly, they make you not have the opportunity to play cards, they untap and then start the round and get to attack whichever character they most prefer. So yeah, that's been another weakness of mine. Well, anyways, long story short, through trial and error, the deck I'm about to show you, which I call my A-Team deck, is what I arrived at that worked for me, just really in play testing against Max. So thank you, Max, for all the games. To be able to withstand the threat of Sky Shadow and all of Quake's direct damage. So I call it the A-Team because it's a 5-wide team of 5-star characters, and let's take you through them. So first we have Flame War, who's going to be the Hannibal Smith, the leader of this deck, because of course she has that very important tough 1 side in bot mode. So turn 1, I'm going to transform Flame War, give everybody tough 1, and generally we're going to keep Flame War out of the line of fire as long as possible. She also, of course, in her alt mode, has the ability to make everyone on your team bold 1, so that will come into play as we look at our cards later. So Flame War is our Hannibal Smith. And then, next most important piece is Motor Master. Your other characters can't take non-attack damage from your opponent's cards. That's the key here. Motormaster shuts down all of the really wide direct damage that decks do in Wave 5. So Quake damaging every character, Fortress Maximus damaging every character with 2 damage, Precision Fire, so bonkers stuff like that. Motormaster protects every other character except himself, and that's enough. Even though your opponent can target Motormaster and put their direct damage on him, he's keeping everyone safe as long as he's around. We are rarely, if ever, turning over to the other side. The 2 attack is small, but Laser Cutlass can make up for it, give him that 1 extra attack and then that Pierce 3. And it's going to be valuable too that he's a truck. So we have Flame War and Motormaster. And then we have Night Racer. And Night Racer is great for the basic stats. Night Racer is going to be our first character out into the fray. Turn 1, transform Flame War, give everybody tough 1. Turn 2, in turn 1, attack with Night Racer. Because with tough 1 from Flame War and 2 armor here in alt mode, Night Racer can tank so much. In the end, Night Racer has a way of sticking around too because she doesn't have very intimidating abilities. Your opponent isn't thinking about trying to take her out early on. So as soon as another target opens up, of course our opponent again is really looking to damage Motormaster, and there are other threats on the table. Night Racer tends to be forgotten after the first turn, so she's a good shield to put out in the beginning, and then she tends to be one of your characters lasting around to the end. Next up, we have RC, who is one of our main sources of transformation. Flame War gets first turn, and then a lot of the rest of the game is RC, going back and forth. So RC, of course, in alt mode, can repair 1 damage from each of your characters. So if Motormaster is off of the table and direct damage is splashing across, RC can mitigate some of that. And of course, characters get attacked and take attack damage, so RC can, even heal 1. But what we're really looking for is RC's bot mode ability, because she has Pierce equal to her attack value, so she's one of our heavy hitters. Give her Grenade Launcher and Leap into Battle, and then she's at a base of 8 attack with Pierce 8 in a team running a bunch of 5-star characters. And then sort of the Murdoch of our A team here, who sees icons different than everyone else. Here is Braun, who gets Pierce 1 for each different color among the icons you flip. On occasion, you can also use his bot mode ability to instead get extra defense for each color you flip. I've been realizing the value of that in other deck builds, including Braun, recently. But Braun is really helpful for you against other blue decks. So in a sort of mirror match for control, you can send Braun out instead of Night Racer as your first option, knowing that Braun's going to do some damage against your blue opponent. Braun is also a good option to keep around towards the end of the game. Once you get a Noble's Blaster on him, the wave 1 through 5 meta is thoroughly Decepticon heavy. I mean, you can even see that in this lineup. We have 3 Decepticons here. So Braun has good value with Noble's Blaster to give him 5 attack, a base of 2 Pierce, and then at the very least a 3rd Pierce from blue. But there are plenty of icons in this deck to keep him going. So there's our basic team lineup. Turn 1, transform Flame War, generally send Night Racer, optionally send Braun for Pierce. Turn 2, transform RC, get her ready, and then send Night Racer in, or you've sent Night Racer, now you're sending Braun. And then as you stock up on cards, you'll see what comes next, what works best. The opportunity may be right to send in Motormaster. if you're not seeing a bunch of direct damage coming your way, but it's very important to know what you're seeing across the table. Otherwise, it might be a good time to send in Flame War, even though she's giving you tough 1, but to sort of spare other people pain. That's very important. And then Motor Master, and then usually RC at the very end for a final hit with as much attack value as we can put in. Okay, let's look at the cards in the deck. So we're going to start off with some support ideas. I like to run 1 spare parts because my pet peeve is upgrade removal. I don't like it. I don't like sabotage armaments. I don't like bashing shields. To be fair, there are no armors in this deck in the first place. So this is all about protecting our weapons. As the team survives through a round, then hopefully we have permanent weapons on the characters, with the exception of the grenade launcher, as we'll see. So those permanent weapons can stay on our characters, they untap, and then they get the chance to use them again. Spare parts add some redundancy to that. This is a blue heavy deck. I'm running 1 handheld blaster. In the end, this deck has to function offensively, so you have to put in the damage to make things work. So running too much of like double blues for the sake of the icons without like getting good card effect is not terribly helpful. I will be running, as we'll see, 3 security checkpoints. So I will have 4 double blue icons. I prefer security checkpoint over handheld blaster, not to play security checkpoint because I really hate upgrade removal. The security checkpoints are there strictly for the double blue icons, and then you trade them away for green. But I prefer the security checkpoints over handheld blaster because, specifically, my opponent might be running security checkpoints, which reveal your hand and scrap all upgrades. If they were to reveal my hand and I had a security checkpoint in my hand, that card would not get scrapped out of my hand. If I had a handheld blaster in my hand, they play security checkpoint, this gets revealed, it gets tossed away. Obviously, as I've said, I'm not playing this on my characters, but it's still a problem having your hand size taken away because then you have less options to trade for green. So just 1 handheld blaster and then 3 security checkpoints when it comes down to it. All of the rest of the upgrades in this deck are weapons. I have 3 laser cutlasses. These give you, of course, +1 attack and 3 pierce. They can only go on characters with 7 stars or fewer, but that is every character on our team. The best fit for Laser Cutlass is Motor Master because it brings him up 1 attack and then gives him that Pierce 3. In a pinch, this can go on RC if it just worked out right to transform her to alt mode before she attacks. With that 2 attack in alt mode, then again, Laser Cutlass will help out there. But really, if you just want Pierce 3, this is certainly functionally as good as a Piercing Blaster. So yeah, Flame War will appreciate it. Brawn can get good use out of it. He'll add another Pierce to that +1 attack. Night Racer will use it. This is just, great all around. So we have 3 of those. I have 2 Nobles Blasters and 1 Scoundrels Blaster. Only 1 Scoundrels Blaster because there are so many other Decepticons in waves 1 through 5. Particularly in the wave 5 meta, Decepticons are so popular, so you're not going to get as much value out of the Pierce here. But if there is an Autobot out there, you got 1. It'll pass you by at some point in the deck. You can grab it. Or if you're running against an orange deck, pick it up. It'll give you +2, so putting in some more damage. The Nobles Blaster is again very good against the wave 5 meta because there are so many Decepticons. And as I've mentioned before, Brawn really appreciates this weapon because he will add on to the Pierce, and this gives him an extra base of 2 attack. RC will appreciate this one too because even if our opponent is running Autobots and we have to attack into an Autobot with a Nobles Blaster on RC, RC's ability will turn this attack into Pierce. So Noble's Blaster works really well in this deck. Can only go on Brawn and RC, but it works great for both of them. So then we have 3 grenade launchers. Here's our first non-blue icon, except for white in the deck. Grenade launcher is not permanent, but we all know how powerful it is. And on RC, +4 attack becomes 4 pierce. So this is all about matching the battle card to the characters you're using. Grenade launcher is a fantastic play on RC and a good reason to keep RC alive as sort of like a queen figure, if this is like chess, so that she can get good use out of these. That will also make RC a prime target for your opponent. We have, of course, 3 Energon axes. Plenty of damage being thrown out there. Motor Master protects again, but characters fight. Hopefully characters survive a round. They have damage. Energon Axe can go on them. Energon Axe, of course, gives you +3 and Pierce 2. Add that to, say, RC. That'll have 4 attack them for her, 3 plus her base of 1. Brawn, again, will really enjoy the Energon Axe. Night Racer in a pinch can transform to bot mode for a 4 base attack, and then with Energon Axe, we'll have +3 for a base of 7. Combine that with what you like. Energon Axe has good all-around use. And Wave 5 increased the efficiency of this card by giving a scouting mission, so the opportunity to put that damage that you need onto your character in order to play Energon Axe. We are running 3 scouting missions in the deck, as we'll get to. And then 2 Piercing Blasters. An understated card, but I think it's actually really, really good. Just gives you Pierce 3 off of the bat. So excellent for Flame War with her base of 3, for Night Racer. RC is not going to get much use out of this, but basically everyone else in the deck can put some sort of good use to it. And it's just white icon, so it fits right in the deck. We've already got sort of our full playset of Pierce blue weapons, so white doesn't change at all the color scheme. It just enhances it if we don't have too much white happening in the deck. And then Pierce 3 is helpful, permanent weapon, stays around, all good stuff. So those are our weapons. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 weapons. And plenty of card draw to work on drawing into those weapons. So every turn, ideally, we want to be playing a weapon on the character we're going to be using. Let me walk that back actually a second. So in Wave 5, this has always been true of the game, you know which character on your opponent's team is the one you want to take out the most. So for me, against, say, my brother's deck, Sky Shadow and Quake, Sky Shadow wants you to blow one of the pieces up and make him combined, and Quake wants to hide in the background and be untouched so he can stack on the direct damage as much as possible. So Quake becomes the character you're looking for, but so often can't reach for a while. So in round 1 of this deck's play strategy, really what you want to do with the permanent weapons is stock them on the characters, and this is in direct contradiction to what I said like a minute ago. In that first round, you're going to want to stack weapons on the characters you are not attacking with. With 5 characters in the deck, if you have plenty of turns in a round, then you have plenty of turns to prepare individual characters for the end of the round to attack all in the same turn, especially if your opponent goes first. So in a 5-wide versus a 3-wide, if they go first, tap, you tap 1, they tap their second, you tap your second, they tap their third. Here you are, you get 3 characters to attack with. Hopefully you've had the opportunity to put weapons on 2 of them, and now with your third turn you can put a weapon on a third one and go after the most important character on your opponent's side. Either way, every turn, just every turn, we want to be playing a weapon, or maybe a spare parts to protect the weapon. So we've got 14 of them. That's a ton, and we'll have card draw in the deck to help bring those out. So then, let's look at our actions. So we have secret actions, just the full playset of these two. Hidden Fortification gives you tough. There's plenty of blue in the deck. And Hostilities is it's a bit underhanded. However, Wave 5 brings in Belligerence, which will turn all of your blues to oranges. So this is a fair response. It also works in a good way to counter Belligerence if the timing is right. You played on your turn and you don't know if your opponent will play Belligerence or the Belligerence, or if they have it in their hand. But if you both play those two cards at the same time, they will effectively cancel each other out. There are turns when, in order to counteract what you might see coming from your opponent, like a Peace Through Tyranny play, where you really want a secret action down so they can't just bulldoze your team with 2 turns in a row. A secret action will make that first turn harder. They'll have to go into one of the characters who are tapped, and then hopefully on that second turn they'll still have to attack again to finish it off. All that being said, these characters only have tough from Hidden Fortification and Flame War. There's no armors in the deck. And then there's the End Hostilities. There's not a lot of defensive building up in this deck. The deck is more offensively minded with a basic blue defensive capability. However, each of the characters individually is very hard to take out in just one shot. It's not impossible, but your opponent certainly has to work at it. And if they don't manage to take out a character in one shot, well, you have 5 characters on the team. That's going to take a lot of turns for them to work through. So just a little bit of secret action work goes a long way here. We have one more action, Hold the Line, which is, fantastic. This is, of course, great against Titan Masters. At the end, 2-star, 3-star characters. Gives a little bit of repair. And the green icon can bring it into your hand so it's ready to go. Yeah, Hold the Line is wonderful. And it has its own song. One copy of Mission Briefing. In community format right now, with the I don't know, Bayformers arc. I should wonder what the collective is called at the moment. I understand Mission Briefing is not, tournament legal, depending on the format. This is again waves 1 through 5, and with the understanding that people have access to the Wizards of the Coast waves 1 through 5 list. So fair is fair, right? People are playing their Fusion Borers and their Belligerences and Peace Through Tyranny. They just can't play PTA and spare part, the swap parts, that kind of thing. Well, anyways, point being, Mission Briefing, you have 5 characters on this team, and the main people to transform are RC and Flame War. But if you grab this as a green icon, it can give you incentive to, again, flip over Night Racer or Brawn, and with one action play, draw 3 cards. We only have 1 in this deck. Again, the deck is offensively minded. We need to be putting in the hurt, so taking a turn to draw is not something we want to do too often, but it's really powerful. The green icon, of course, makes it super consistent. I think the 1 copy is effective. And then we got One Hit and Run. This can help RC not only transform to heal people on the team, but then to take an extra damage off of her and bring it to someone else. And then Brawn really appreciates the black icon on top of the white. On which note, we also have 3 copies of Scouting Mission. Just a little bit of extra incentive for running Brawn. I believe these are the only black icon cards in the deck. And so much of Wave 5's meta in trying to figure out control decks was running blue, running black with blue. But this deck is all about, like, what are the blue power cards so that I can stay effectively in the blue sphere of play, but also put in the damage. Because there are few blue-black cards that really, like, pack a punch. Scouting Mission, though, is one of them. It does everything. You have the blue for defense, you have the black for attack. If you flip that with Brawn, that black is essentially 2 pierce for you. You can do a damage to yourself to throw down the Energon Axe, and then if you're really feeling mean, you can flip RC over and then heal that damage back. You get to draw 2 cards from doing that. You can play your Energon Axe down. And then, of course, there's the whole other thing about the character. The point of the card is also to be able to play it against your opponent if they're 1 away. That may not be very often. This is a piece-by-piece kind of an attack deck. What I mean is, like, how often is my opponent going to be within 1 damage of dying? But if they are, then here's my option. I've got it. I mean, you know Scouting Mission is a great card. So, certainly, we want to run 3 of that. I mentioned I have 3 copies of Security Checkpoint, so 3 double blue icons. I can't tell you not to play this card. If you were running this deck, you do what you want. I don't play this card. No. I don't want to scrap my opponent's upgrades, but I do have double blue icons on here, and there are plenty of green icons in the deck that I want to trade for. So, Noble's Blaster, Scoundrel's Blaster, Hold the Line, Mission Briefing, Spare Parts. This is here to defend. If it's in my hand, I want to cycle it back into the deck as quick as possible by trading for a card that I want. Something that, you know, I want consistently. Of course, that's what green icons are good for. So, Security Checkpoint is great as a double blue specifically because it is an action instead of an upgrade. Again, Handheld Blasters would be scrapped out of my hand if my opponent played this card from their hand. So, this is a mirror move. I play this in my deck because I suspect against other blue decks, I'm going to see this get played. If this gets revealed, it can stay in my hand so that it's ready to trade for a green icon for later. So it's not about playing, but it is about having cards in hand. Double blues. Hooray, hooray. And then I have 10 actions that are there to throw hands. Of course, blue deck, running 5-star characters, 5-star characters, so very often we are going to be attacking into characters who are of greater star cost. So, +2 attack, Pierce 4, staple of blue decks, really works for this one. We want all 3. We also want 3 of Leap into Battle. This is functionally for our C, a +3 Pierce 3 card. So, tailored for her against an orange running deck, you know, an opponent running aggro. Then the +3, you don't have to worry about the pierce. It's just helpful to have something to add to your attack value. So Leap into Battle is certainly valuable. I have 3 copies of 4-wheel drive. So we have Brawn and Motor Master. And for Motor Master, this is a really cool play. So you take him from his alt mode base attack of 2 all the way up to 7. Throw a weapon on there, even a grenade launcher, and he can reach double digits. So, yeah, 4-wheel drive is a good sneak attack. And blue icon puts in the hurt. So we have like 3 separate actions with a full play set that have that crucial blue icon that are actually really gonna do the damage. Last card, which I just dropped on the floor unceremoniously. Oh. Belligerence. So just 1 copy. I have the 3 grenade launchers, so those are not blue, and then I have the 1 copy of this, and I believe this card brings the deck from 40 to 41. So essentially the deck is 40 cards, and then this is the sweet cherry on top. So this is Flame War's reason to consider alt mode, turning the tables, giving everyone bold 1 at like the end of a round. If this is in your hand, you can turn all of your blues into oranges, which will be helpful even against an aggro deck because you're gonna then add on the attack to your opponent who's not defending in the first place. But then against a defensive blue deck, a mirror match, you know, this will knock down the walls. Just a really spicy card. And that brings our total attack action playset to 10 cards. So 14 weapons, 10 actions that put in the hurt, and then the rest of the deck is support of hopefully a helpful kind. So, final thoughts. Again, the general strategy is to prepare for the end of the round with the deck. And then as characters survive past the first round, then hopefully there's permanence to the weapons so that they can attack with those weapons again. Restock your hand with mission briefing and with scouting mission. Feel out when the big attack turns are coming from your opponent. If you do have a secret action, it's often a good idea to play it. And yeah, I have found I've had good results with this deck. So there's my old answer from 2020 to the Wave 5 meta, looking for doing something on the blue side of it all. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.